The portrait? The clearing out of my late aunt's home was a somber affair. My memories of the eccentric old woman were filled with love, but also a tinge of unease I could never explain as a child. Her house on the outskirts of town held dark corners my young mind feared to comprehend. Now, over a decade later, I returned reluctantly to help my mother sort through her remaining belongings. The ramshackle building held a musty gloom even on the brightest summer day. Shadows seemed to cling greedily to every nook and cranny between ancient wooden slats. My mother got to work in the attic while I started in the downstairs bedroom, opening dusty trunks and sorting through odd trinkets and forgotten items. Most were ordinary enough, but some stirred strange feelings in my psyche, as if they held echoes from another world. One item in particular gave me pause, an ornate picture frame swathed in cobwebs and grime, concealing the contents within. I removed the frame carefully to reveal an oil painting of a woman in hanbok robes, ink black hair spilling artfully over alabaster skin, and heart-shaped face. Her eyes seemed to follow me as I turned the frame this way and that, trying to place where I'd seen her before. Something about the composition pulled at long-dormant memories, making me feel like an uninvited guest intruding on a private world. Shaking off the unwelcome sensation, I propped the portrait against the wall to clean later, continuing my task with growing unease. The summer sun moved steadily across the sky as we filled bags and boxes, my mother whistling tunelessly above while I worked steadily below. It was in late afternoon that I heard it, a faint creaking from the corner of the bedroom, opposite the portrait now leaning undisturbed. I froze, eyes darting to the empty space, certain I saw something move in my peripheral vision. But when I whirled around, the room was unchanged, dust floating lazily in stillness. I must be jumping at shadows after being in this gloomy old house for hours. Shaking my head at my overactive imagination, I piled the final items by the door and stretched with a groan. My mother came down and we loaded the car for the trip home, both relieved our melancholy task was done. As we pulled away, my gaze was drawn to the bedroom window, where through grimy glass I glimpsed for a split second the woman from the portrait standing calmly watching our departure. I shook it off as a trick of the fading light, anxious to leave this place of memories and portents behind. The days that followed brought an earthy relief, summer rain cleansing all traces of that dreary clean-up from mind and body. Dark feelings from distant years retreated into dormancy once more. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that the unease resurfaced, creeping in as I prepared for bed one night. Thunder rumbled in the distance and a flickering bulb in the hallway called me toward unseen shadows as I passed to switch it off. Returning to my room, I stopped dead in the doorway. A figure sat calmly on my bed, oil portrait woman regarding me silently with deep brown eyes. I gasped, blinking hard to find only empty room before me, heart pounding heavily in my chest. Long into the night I lay awake, questioning my sanity after being sure I saw her so clearly in this room with me. Was it the storm bringing back repressed memories from Aunt's strange home, or something more sinister seeping into my reality? I finally drifted into fitful sleep only as dawn light filtered through blinds. The weeks that followed were fractured, each day blending seamlessly into dreams and nightmares where she watched without comment from darkened corners. Her presence became an acceptance, a cosmic fact blurring objective and subjective existence. Each glimpse further crumbled the barriers between rationality and the hidden dimensions existing just beyond sight. A creeping malaise settled over me like moss, sapping energy and clarity of thought. Family and friends commented with growing concern over my deterioration, but could offer no explanations, no cures for the intangible disease consuming me from within. Her visits grew bolder, more unsettling, making normalcy impossible to cling to. One stormy night I returned to find the portrait propped conspicuously against my bedroom wall once more, exactly where I'd found it in Aunt's abandoned home weeks ago. I froze, unbelieving eyes tracing familiar details now backlit by flashes of sheet lightning. She smiled invitingly from the frame, hand raised beckoning me closer to the other side where normal laws no longer apply. I backed away slowly, bumping into a solid form behind. Whipping around, I found her in the flesh draped in flowing robes, ghostly pale skin glowing luminously. She stepped forward reaching to embrace me, whispers promising an end to suffering and answers to restless questions, soothing frayed nerves. I screamed, shoving past and fleeing into the howling night, the crash of thunder barely drowning hysterical sobs tearing from my throat. They found me holed up in a shack in the woods hours later, incoherent and wild-eyed. Doctors diagnosed a complete psychotic break and I've been here ever since, walls and medications insulating me from the seductive otherworld she represents. But at night when lightning flashes, I still glimpse her beyond barred windows, hand raised beckoning me back into her realm where reason has no power. They say I'm getting better but some part of me knows the truth. She remains, waiting patiently for the chance to unravel the barriers keeping me prisoner in a reality not truly mine. One day the doors will open, and I'll have no choice but to accept the homecoming into her dark embrace lingering just out of sight, beyond the edges of this artificial dawn where normality is a lie and madness is truth. I can feel her coming,